what these stakeholders are doing today.
Yes, it is. This is the Nairobi we want. Wamesemaje pale hivyo kwenye Twitter.
Pale hivyo kwenye Twitter tumesema our Twitter handles are at environment_KE. You can tweet and take some pictures. We're also live streaming this, Talia.
Yes, we are. On Facebook, we are Circular Environment Nairobi. You can head over to the page, and the hashtags that we are using today, Circular Economy Nairobi. We are also using Taka ni Mali, Boresha Mapato, Waste is Wealth, and Join the Circle. So you can have discussions about the event. You can share that with your colleagues, your friends, your family, and of course your followers, and they can also follow the event as there is a live stream.
Excellent. We don't want to spend more time. We want to get into the real action. And we are delighted to have our chief guest, CS. Thank you, sir, for making time to join us on this very important day. At the same time, ladies and gentlemen, we are pushing our agenda today towards a zero-waste city. And we'll be getting to see the great initiatives that are being done by the government, by Nairobi County as well, and also some of the private sector players who are with us this morning. We'd like to, yeah?
What do you like about the environment?
Wow, good question. I like a clean environment where there's no litter.
Yes.
That's the environment I like. And how about you?
For me, a clean environment is essential for healthy living, especially for our children.
Yeah.
At least when we have a clean environment, we will not be scared our children going outside to play. I know when you travel around the world, when you go to Europe, people are always saying, you know, I can wear my white shoes anywhere I feel like, you know, I can walk to work.
Yeah.
You know, when you have a clean environment, you don't think about the distance to walk to work. You can also be, you know, you keep healthy. It's good for your exercise as you ride your bikes, as you jog, as you walk around. You're not thinking about, you know, walking here and there's litter everywhere. There's like a garbage dump somewhere, you know, on your way. You know, it's just fresh air.
I like that.
Nairobi,
I like
the city
that.
in the sun.
All right. And that's why we are here, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to request us to be upstanding. We want to start off with the national anthem as we begin our event this morning.
And as we do, kindly turn off your phones or put them on silent, tafadhali.
The national anthem, ladies and gentlemen. We may have our seats. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You can proceed.
Thank you again and welcome. I am here with my co-host, Abby Agina, who is the economics editor at the Standard Media Group and is passionate about the environment.
Thank you, Talia. Talia is also going to be a key role in this event. She is an Emmy Award-winning songstress and songwriter and also a TV presenter. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. And we want to start off by inviting Dr. Ayub Masharia, who will be making some opening remarks. He is from the Ministry of Environment and is very passionate when it comes to matters circular economy. Let's give a round of applause as he comes on stage. Karibu.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Chief Administrative Secretary, PS, all invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Ayub Macharia. I'm a director at the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, and I also deal with waste matters. And I've been told to make some remarks. And my remarks are, why are we here? We are here because for a long time, the dominant story in the letters that we have written to institutions, the dominant story in our newspapers, in our social media, with regard to waste management and circular economy has been that let's meet and do a cleanup. And all of us used to get out, and you got into those very dirty places with your rake, with your djembe, and all those other implements, and you participated in the cleanup. And as you were cleaning, somebody was still, you could see somebody throwing garbage to the same place. And today, we are discussing the same story, the same topic again. But this time, we are here to tell you a different story. And the story is about circular economy, where there will be no more cleanups because everybody will be responsible. There will be no more mixing of waste because waste has value. People will grab, will rush and get a piece of that waste because it will be valuable. And the ministry has put all that together into a policy, into a bill, and into another regulation called the Extended Producer Responsibility Regulations, and other documents that you'll be told about in this awareness campaign, so that we formalize this discussion. And we are here because when you have something new, you need to tell people that, behold, we were speaking like this before, and now we are changing the story. And so the purpose of this meeting is, unlike other meetings, when we had only one story to tell, that make sure you don't litter the environment. Now, we are telling a different story. And the story is that we will all be responsible for our waste. It is valuable, and it will be creating jobs. It will be creating wealth for our people. And we will also be saying that we think that we have a lot of waste. We don't have that much waste because our dam sites, which have been holding our 100% or 95% of our waste, will now not be there. We'll have other facilities called sanitary landfills, and they only hold only 5% of our waste is available to go to that final destination. All the rest will be used again to generate wealth and to generate employment for our people. So you can see we have an interesting story today. And that is why we have come for the launch. And we thank everybody. The ministry has not done this alone. It has done it with the private sector, with other government agencies. And we are here to celebrate the start of a new era in waste management in Kenya. And we welcome you all on board. We wish that you will be on the lookout for these messages from the ministry through our consultants. And then you tell others, you practice what we are told, and then we move on to a circular Kenya. Thank you very much.
All right, all right. A better round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
That was Dr. Ayub Masharia from the Ministry of Environment, Asante Sana. I would like to invite Mr. Eddie Gisheru Okech, who is the founder of Trico Fund. He will be talking about the impact of decisive action in climate change. Karibu Sana.
Let's appreciate him as he makes his way on stage, ladies and gentlemen. And just a reminder, Talia, about the live stream.
Yes, we have a live stream. If you head over to Facebook, the Facebook page is Circular Economy Nairobi. Circular Economy Nairobi on Facebook. You can share that link. And of course, on Twitter, you can follow the page, which is environment_KE, and use the hashtags. Thank you. Karibu.
You have the floor.
The Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Director General, Nairobi Metropolitan Services, Principal Secretary, Ministry of Environment and Forestry, the Acting Governor of Nairobi County, Chief Administrative Secretary, Ministry of Environment and Forestry, representatives from the Royal Danish Embassy, Kenya Private Sector Alliance, Kenya Association of Manufacturers, and all organizations present, colleagues, friends, and fellow Nairobians, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. When it comes to survival, everyone among us here is very selfish. Should a lion appear from any corner of this room right now, this theory will be tested to its best. Even the most loving among us who have come here with your loved ones, you won't remember how fast you left them behind as you try to seek for your own safety. And therefore, when we selfishly think about the environment we want to live in, at a personal level, we think about 4 things selfishly. Is it safe? Is it clean? Is it healthy? And most importantly, can I enjoy it like that till I die? That nagging thought of sustainably enjoying a good environment for posterity has escaped our generation. The plastic industry, deleterious production practices, short-sighted consumerism culture, and ultimately climate change have been causative. But more fundamentally, our decisions have been at the heart of this problem. Data tells us that more than our immediate grandparents, we are much under threat of short life because of environmental risks than any generation before us. As Obama once said, we are the first generation to feel the effect of climate change and the last generation that can do something about it. We have convened here today to share some thoughts and agree on some ways and methods to move from a linear economy to a more circular economy. What does this mean? Fundamentally, it means we are drawn here together to rethink our way of life. It means we are here to drastically shift from the popular and sustainable lifestyles to a more sustainable one. The unsustainable lifestyle looks like this. Someone produces, someone consumes, and both dispose their wastes, waiting to continue with the same cycle. However, in a world where we are faced with a burgeoning population growth and unrelenting climate challenge, this model of make, take, use, and waste is absolutely dangerous for humanity. But what is even more dangerous for Nairobi and for Kenya is the lack of assertive decisions and strong institutions with regards to advancing a circular economy. This is how dangerous it looks like, ladies and gentlemen. Kenya outlawed single-use plastic bags in 2017. Yet to date, there are still no solid laws requiring corporations that profit from single-use plastic bottles to clean what they produce. The result is that places like Dandora landfill and other dump sites around Nairobi are heaped with up to 20 tons of single-use plastics mingled with other acid wastes every single week. While the image of Dandora escapes many in the luminous neighborhoods of Nairobi, the impact of this is immediately felt around the entire capital city, which is actually the primate city of the African continent. Scavengers from the dump sites discard the polythene papers that we see around Nairobi, or otherwise known as PET, all over the city. This explains the ever-present dirt and filth that we see along the roads in Nairobi, and even the drainage ditches like confetti that we see in Nairobi. Today, when it heavily rains in Nairobi, all drainages are blocked and people working in the city will spend a night on the roads. We can see where this is heading. The ripple effect of one act of poor waste management decision now is leading to a social problem at family levels. This is where a career woman will be squabbled by their husbands in suspected claims of infidelity simply because they could not make it home due to heavy rains, and vice versa. In the last 1 year, we have witnessed hundreds of thousands of Kenyans displaced by rising waters on Kenya's Great Rift Valley lakes, like Lake Baringo. No one in the world that knows of Kenya from a perspective of Kipchoge's pumping heart and Dennis Oliech's right foot could ever imagine that we would witness climate refugees in 2021. Yet, it is our human actions of destroying water catchment areas, poor decisions of bad agricultural practices that lead to alkalinity, and lack of institutions that can keep stakeholders accountable that have led us to where we are today. In Kenya today, we need to go back to connecting our desire for the future green cities with leadership decisions. Leadership that respects data and science for decision making. Leadership that empowers institutions as the reliable custodians of the efforts and innovations we seek to deliberate on in this function today. Those efforts, especially among the young people of Kenya, must be found within ways of moving from this singular way of living to a more diverse and sustainable one. As we engage in our conversations through the day, I hope that we will reflect on investing in products that are lasting for longer, or even rethinking using alternative materials in production that can be reused or are simply biodegradable, or even innovating in recycling models and bolstering renewable energy around the city of Nairobi. But most importantly, I hope that we will reflect on how to build strong institutions and incorporate lifelong avenues for deliberate decision-making that will anchor such solutions beyond our lifetime. For achieving an nonlinear climate change, will only be possible where decisions against linear consumption and linear waste mismanagement are constantly available. And this is most possible by building strong institutions that will always question a small group of self-seeking individuals in the name of businessmen and politicians who place their short-term interest behind the air that the future generations will breathe. It is upon us, ladies and gentlemen, therefore, to first choose that long-term ambition of institutionalizing all the circular economy ideas we create over short-term gains of what we simply eat today. I wish us luck today as we deliberate, and I wish to see a greener city. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Eddie Gisheru Okech. I would like to remind you to continue practicing social distancing, keep your masks on, and frequent sanitizing, tafadhali. Our hashtags today are Circular Economy Nairobi, Taka ni Mali, Boresha Mapato, Waste is Wealth, and join the circle. If you head over to Twitter, we are at environment_KE. Our Facebook page is Circular Economy Nairobi. There is a live stream which is up there. You can share it with your friends, family, and of course your colleagues and followers. Thank you for joining us today. This is the Nairobi we want, and we are having a panel discussion right now with our moderator, Abby Ngina. Karibu.
Thank you so much, Talia. And we are getting to almost the penultimate stage.
Yes, we are.
Oh, yeah? And we want to invite our distinguished panelists this morning. And I'll be calling them out and we'll be having them sit at the front area. I'd like us to use that entrance. And Talia, remember, this is the Nairobi we want.
This is the Nairobi we want. Waste is wealth.
Where we are moving towards a clean environment and making money from our country. Well, first off, I'd like to invite Mr. Teddy Obiero, who is founder of Quest Solutions and chairman, Nyayo Estate. Karibu sana. Next off, we have with us Sarah Njau. She is from We Center. Welcome, madam, on stage. Karibu sana. We are also honored to have with us a representative from the Nairobi County Government, and this is none other than Nyanchoka. Welcome on board. My quick regards to We Center. I'd like you to sit next to us here. Next on stage, we have the singular privilege. Please have a seat. We have the singular privilege of inviting the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Environment, Dr. Chris Kipto. A round of applause for Daktari. As the peers comes on stage, I'd like to remind us that we have with us the chief guest, who will also be joining us up on stage. And this is none other than Honorable Mohammed Elmi, my good friend. Karibu sana for this forum. Remember our very important hashtag, the circular economy, Nairobi. We're also hoping to engage with our audiences on our live stream. You can share our discussion here, Taka ni Mali, waste is wealth. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going into another session where we'll be engaging with the policymakers, the various representatives that you can see that are here with us this morning. We'll also be taking it back to you, where Talia will be walking with you and just getting some of your questions to our panelists this morning. So sit back, belt up, and be ready to hear from the horse's mouth. Karibuni sana. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like us to start this conversation, and I would like to break a few rules because they say the revolution will not be televised. But today we are breaking the rules and saying the revolution is being televised because we want to see a clean Nairobi, we want to see a country where we can say we are moving in the right direction. And I'd like to start off with inviting the PS for Environment, that is Dr. Chris Kipto, to just give us some opening remarks. Many people are asking, what is this circular economy? Does it mean money will be going around in Nairobi? Give us a layman's explanation about what this circular economy is all about in brief.
Thank you very much, Abby. I don't know whether I need to remove my...
Yes, we are open to release our masks, only for those who are up here on the panel, because we're socially distanced.
And good morning, all participants. Yeah, I want to start by saying that the world today has three planetary crises, three major crises that face us. Climate change, and I think that we all know. Climate change is a reality. We have also the issue of biodiversity loss. We are losing our biodiversity in a big way. And the last one is waste management and pollution control. Today's discussion is around waste management. So I just want to say that for a long time, we have had poor management of handling our waste. From our own houses, all the waste is never segregated, it's just mixed. From the houses, they are taken into a vehicle, a truck, and we know the famous Dandora. We have done some statistics and seen that every day, Kenyans produce about half a kilo of waste. Everybody. It's per capita consumption, production. So if you take our population of 45 million, it means we are generating 22,000 metric tons per day. Here in Nairobi, given our population, we are talking about 3,000 metric tons. And all that is generated, and if you look at it, the statistics we have show that we only collect 70% of that waste. 30% remains uncollected. Of that 70% which is collected, only 20% of it is recycled. The rest, 50%, is what goes to dump sites. And you all know in Nairobi here, the Dandora. And why in Dandora, it is all mixed up. So what we are asking for is a paradigm shift from that model where we take products, use them, and we just litter, we just throw them. That has been called a linear approach to waste management. Now we are saying, Kenyans, we need to move away from that linear approach of waste management to circular approach. When we say circular, it means we want to work towards reducing waste to the extent possible. For the waste that we produce, we try as much as possible to derive value by reusing or recycling. And I think as much as possible, we want to derive waste. So I just want to say circular economy therefore means doing a lot to make sure that our waste is useful to us. That very little of it, at least 5%, goes to the landfill. Let me also add that statistics that we have show that of the 22,000 metric tons of waste that we generate every day, about 60% of it is organic. About 30% is what is recyclable. And the balance is what goes to the landfill. So we are hoping in this circular approach, what goes to the landfill should be very minimal. And there is a paradigm shift, therefore, in the way we handle. We don't want any more dump sites. We will have landfills. And that should be very little waste, 5%. The 60% that is organic through composting procedures, we should be able to derive as much value as possible by getting fertilizer and other products that become useful to us. For recycled, we want to recycle as much as possible. And therefore, I will be coming back later to discuss the policy measures that we have taken as a ministry to ensure that we create the legal, the policy framework, and the regulatory environment to enable circular economy to function.
Interesting. P.S., you know what you're telling Kenyans is you started a revolution where people will be making a big fortune from the West. And this is something I know, Honorable Elmi, is a matter that is very dear to you in the Ministry of Environment. Give us a big picture of how will this change our country from where we are, taking Kenya to the glory that we should be in the region.
I think the PS has explained where we want to go, and I think he alluded to, we already have a policy of saying we want to go circular. The key word is circular and economy. So there is both money and involved, and he has explained that part of it. I think the key discussion today is how do we change, number one, our behavior to go into the new thinking, because we were a small population before. We had a lot of land. We could afford to just pick our rubbish and dump it somewhere. But now we're saying that's not longer attainable. So how do we get Kenyans to segregate? And I can see the four colors here that we want that to happen. So how do we make sure that the infrastructure exists so that when you have separated in your house or your institution, the guy who comes to collect does not mix them back together? How do we make sure that we have incentives for business to recycle, as the PS said, 95% of the different recyclable things, and therefore only 5% then, which is so hazardous, then goes to landfill. I think for me that's the journey that today we are starting. And this meeting is to start and say, how do we educate? You see, education, you can have the information, but if you don't act on it, if you don't practice it, it doesn't go anywhere. So the question for us is, how do we make sure every Kenyan now goes this way, from today, from tomorrow? How do we actually change? And also within the law, I think now it's in Parliament, it's supposed to, people will participate in it. What penalties do we put? First is give the knowledge. Once people have the knowledge, what are the incentives? And that's where people will be making money out of it. But those who refuse to obey what the society wants, then what penalties do we put in the law? And finally, there is a principle across the world that the polluter pays. And therefore, we need regulations to ensure that all the people who are actually producing waste also pay for this. And if we go that route, then I think we'll not see any litter. A lot of jobs will be created. Our oceans will be safer. The fish we get from the ocean will be safer. You can't believe the damage that our waste is causing the biodiversity. And they are so interrelated. The PS talked about, now we're talking about the waste as a challenge, but biodiversity is also affected if the waste is not properly taken care of. Climate change will also, it will still affect it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable CS Elmi. I like when you say that the polluter must pay. And we have with us a representative from Nairobi County, Mary Vine. How is Nairobi County working with the Ministry of Environment? And how do we push the agenda when it comes to sensitizing Kenyans and creating awareness, because at the end of the day, it is the people living in the estates who contribute to this 22,000 metric tons of waste every day.
Thank you, Abby. Nairobi City County is really trying its best. As much as we also have our own limitations, we try as much as we can to make this city better. But I want to reiterate on what the previous guests have said. Before we start enforcing, we really need to educate.
Exactly.
And before we educate, we really need to put policies in place that are going to guide the education process. I would give you an example. When you're talking about segregation of waste, if you are staying in Don Home, for example, in a one-bedroomed house, do these facilities where we stay have even the segregation sector? As in, out of your building, do you have a place where you can put plastics in your single room? Do you have a place where you can put the bottles and so on? So we're also trying to work with the building department so that for any approval that comes out, you must have a segregation part or where waste is going to be collected so that we avoid the door-to-door collection that really makes the segregation difficult. When we come to the policies, I would give an example. There are times you arrest people, you take them to city court, and they're charged 500 shillings.
Only?
Why wouldn't you later again? And we know the characters that we have in Kenya. When the fines are also too low, people find their way. I know we all have mentalities of, I was arrested with kanjo, nikapeana 2,000. Because when you even go to court, you might find you're charged with a bylaw, which we are not even supposed to be using. So we are also working in hand to with NEMA so that we borrow a lot of fines from the MCA Act, which are hefty penalties. And once you find those hefty penalties, believe you me, you cannot do the littering. Then there's the behavioral change that the previous speaker has spoken about. Mm-hmm. We all move in public matatus. Every day, every morning, when you're driving behind a matatu, for example, you'll always see even private vehicles. I think there's a time I was driving in Uhuru Highway. Thank God there was traffic. And someone driving a BMW, you take Keringet water, and then you throw it outside the window. We actually had to cause traffic. Went and told him, just come out of your vehicle and can you take this back? Mm-hmm. We are very good at criticizing. We do not have the number of staffs to be collecting the trash from the drainage. But if we'd have the self-responsibility of walking with your trash until the next point where you're going to put your trash, then we'll go somewhere. When you're talking about the circular economy, it's your waste can be someone else's resource. There are those that have a slogan of from garbage to cabbage. Most of us who've been able to visit outside country, you'll really see that waste is money. You go to a shopping mall, you have your cans of beer or bottles, there's a dispenser, which also gives you money. So if we have that kind of scenario and thought, then we'll be able to go somewhere. Thank you, Abi.
All right, interesting. And this leads me to my next question, and it goes to Teddy Obiero. I'll be coming to you, Sarah. Teddy, I know it's very difficult for a new resident to break the rules in Nyayo Estate, and you are the chairman. I understand if someone is to even have a party, you need to approve.
Absolutely.
So you are the Matiang'i of that estate.
Yes.
But I'd like to understand, when it comes to the issues that Merivine has raised, having buildings that have room to allow people to store their waste in different formats and in different shapes. As an estate and also as a chairperson, what are some of the opportunities that you see in the circular economy? And are you with us or are you against us?
Thank you, Abi. I will actually say we are way ahead of all of you in this room. Nyayo Estate, we have 5,000 housing units, about 25 to 30,000 residents, and we started our circular economy, I think, about a year and a half ago. Before that, we've had other environmental programs. We've done 10,000 trees planted within Nyayo. Nyayo was a desert, it's just the typical Nairobi concrete jungle. And we said we can change this. So in the last 10 years, we did 10,000 trees. In the process, you know, you pick partners on the way. We've done 5,000 from Equity Bank, and other partners who have brought in trees. So we actually now in the phase of trying to green up the entire neighborhood, which includes our neighbors. So probably Embakasi East will really rely on Nyayo Estate and what we've been doing. Now back to circular economy. 1.5 years now, we've been recycling plastics, all sort of plastics. It started as a movement with PET. Our initial partners just were focused on the PET, but then we realized, what about the remaining materials, which are also plastics? So we did a mock-up with about a few courts. The 5,000 units of these houses are all categorized and clustered in courts. So we tried with the participating courts that are willing to take it up. And this means the court leadership at the grassroots. It's a decentralized system as well. So they engage the children and the nannies, the people who actually, if you want to segregate waste, target the children first, and then you target the nannies, then the ladies of the house. The barbers rarely go to dump, you know. So we started that, we collected enough, and then after collecting, what next? That question popped up. It will be rather pointless to collect and then just go place it in Dandora or wherever. So another question came to us: what are we going to do about these plastics? We have gunny bags, very big ones, which can take in about 300 kilos in one collection. And we thought, 300 kgs of plastics, where are we taking this? A partner came in, a company in Athi River, and they've been turning these PETs into pallets that you can use on either 3D printing or polyester fiber. So now we know exactly where our plastics go. So we created now the circular, and it's easier to communicate this to the residents, tell them, when you take your soda or your water, please place it here. In fact, we don't use the word dump in Nyayo Estate. We place, and we do not have waste, we have materials.
All right.
So we've already changed the entire mindset, and it's working.
Clearly, deserves a round of applause.
And it's quite working very well. And I'm just going to bring another aspect, how the value addition in this.
In less than a minute.
Yes.
Proceed.
We are paid 10 shillings for every kg of plastic collected from Nyayo Estate. So we are already in the economy.
Makofi tafadhali. Asante. And ladies and gentlemen, of course, a lot happening on the ground. The train has already left PS and CAS. And I'd like to bring in Madam Sarah Njau from We Center. Talk to us about what impact will this have, and what are players like yourselves doing to set the ball rolling?
Thank you so much, Agina. The first thing is, I know everyone here doesn't understand what is e-waste. And except a few people that we've worked with together in bringing up policies under the guidance of the Ministry of Environment. And first of all, I can see an e-waste bin in front of us. Mm-hmm. The international coded one is the red one. So that should be in the bins. I know there's the red one. What we've done is e-waste is any electronic that has come to end of life. And end of life, it depends with your own economic level. Some people, after every other technology comes in, you chase a new technology for your phone, for your tablet, then that becomes waste to you. We've done is we've started in 2012. We are celebrating our 10th year next year as We Center, where we started collecting e-waste from various schools out of Computer for Schools Kenya, where that program, Computer for Schools Kenya, used to give out computers to various schools. When those computers came to end of life, the principals were like, they are dead, come for them. Then out of that, other big players realized what we were doing, and then the founding fathers, the founding director took a few people to Europe to study how to do e-waste management. What we've done so far is that we create awareness. We work with the Ministry of Environment in bringing up policies. We've worked with NEMA. We do estate drives, so after this, our booth is somewhere, just direct. You'll come, register yourself, and tell us when we are going to come for an e-waste drive in your estate. We've done it successfully with Nyayo Estate a few years ago. This year we've done in Langata, more than thrice, because Langata sub-county is huge. We've done in Thika Greens. We've also done the Kili Cycle project along Dennis Street. And yeah, that's what we're doing so far.
Well, wonderful.
Yeah.
A round of applause for what they're doing. And this takes me to the next round of questions. CAS, Honorable Elmi, from a policy side of things, where are we as a country? Are we enacting the right legislation to be able to unlock this sector?
Good. The cabinet has passed both the bill and also the policy, and now it's in parliament, and I'm hoping it will go through quickly. Again, the regulations, waste regulations are almost done. They are in the final consultations. I think there is also something called, practice leading policy. I think a lot of people, Kenyans, get hung on the paper coming out, so they want to see it. I think when we sat with the Nairobi City County, even before NMS was done, we said, we already have worked on the draft policy, we all know it, why not actually go ahead and do the practice? So there is a committee, and that's why some of those practices that at Nyayo, some of the various members are trying to advance. So we are clear where we want to go. In fact, apart from, a bit of incentives, but a bit of maybe penalties, there's nothing that would stop us as Kenyans to tomorrow wake up, start separating, making sure the lorries that we get are, color-coded, both at home, and make sure that the companies that want to recycle, the huge waste, for example, which is the organic that the PS talked about, there are already companies that are producing fertilizer, producing other products from them,
Sure.
and they are not getting enough. We Center is not getting enough of the, they have a much higher capacity. And each one of us seated here have a lot of, old fridges, our houses are littered, our offices are littered with e-waste. And somehow, we don't seem to be able to get it there. So nothing stops us, and that's, I think, what is the essence of this campaign and the messages that we would like to go to Kenyans is today we can actually start. Okay, there are infrastructural things that, like the lady from Nairobi City said, like transfer stations, sorting places.
Correct.
I think we'll be going there. Is also sorting out the companies that actually collect. We're still going to sort it out. But tomorrow, when we wake up, nothing stops this guy with a Porsche, usually it's men, car on the highway who throws the bottles through the window or the waste through the window. If we just stopped that, putting the waste, take it home, put it in the right color code, nothing stops it. So the policies are there, and I am hoping that before this term ends, we will have them all in place. But I'm saying we have the knowledge, let's do it. Thank you.
Excellent, and a round of applause to CS. And PS Kipto, just picking off from Honorable Elmi, the bigger conversation right now is how do we accelerate this and replicate? It's one thing for Nairobi to be fully a circular economy. How do we take it out of Nairobi to the other counties. Is the ministry having such plans?
Thank you very much, Abby. Just speaking from where Cas has left, on the issues the government has done, I want to start in 2017, the government put a ban on use of single plastic bags.
Sure.
So you don't see any more in our supermarkets plastic bags. So that is a big development because at least on the demand side, it has been reduced because no one produces in order to use in the supermarkets. We also banned the use of single-use plastics in our national parks. And to a large extent, there has been success. But of course, if you went out, you will still see littering, and you can see evidence of some plastic bags coming back. It's because we are also in a situation where some of our neighbors have not done what we have done. So there's still some porous borders. And of course, we still have unscrupulous businessmen who still do engage. But largely, that has declined. And number two is that we have gone ahead to develop on waste management policy, which Cas has indicated. That policy was approved by Cabinet this year in February. And our ministry has gone ahead through the Attorney General to forward the bill to Parliament. So we expect also more work to be done in Parliament, and we are asking Kenyans to pay attention to that bill because the bill is actually going to revolutionize a number of things. It's going to be illegal for you not to segregate waste at source. It will be a requirement that you must segregate waste at source. Number two, you will not just transport waste which is mixed. It must be separated. Number three, no one will receive waste that is mixed. So there will be no dandora. That is the requirement. You will also not be allowed to burn waste. This is going to be illegal. I think I'm being told what is in the bill, and one can read. We could improve that bill as it goes to Parliament. The other thing is for what is recyclable, the 30%, we have already tried to come up with regulations based on the EMCA, that is the Environmental Management and Coordination Act, which NEMA is the one that implements. We have what we call extended producer responsibility regulations, which have been prepared and they are ready. We have just taken through this month to make sure the stakeholders are aware of what we are doing. Then our minister is going to gazette those regulations this month. And all of them, everyone is supposed to comply within 6 months. If you look at the Schedule 1 of that extended producer regulations, it has 18 waste streams or products. And we have about 6 sectors. We have the health sector where we are saying all pharmaceutical products and the packages relating to that, they will have to belong to one producer responsibility organization. They have to organize themselves in such a way that they are responsible for post-consumer products from their sector. So you have to follow the consumer and still collect whatever you have sold, any waste related to what you have sold. That is the requirement of this responsibility. If you look at, of these regulations, the other sector is what we call nature-based industries. For instance, the textile we have here, or the furniture you have, or the paper. All these, because they are related together, they will belong to one producer responsibility organization. And they will be responsible to collect any waste relating to that. The same thing even for motor vehicle sector, where you have batteries, you have lubricants and oil, you have automobiles themselves that are waste. All those need to be collected because we still have a lot of these out there. And I think I don't want to go through the other sectors. The point I'm making is there will be a requirement. And all the manufacturers, if you are dealing with, you are the one producing or importing, you must be responsible for the product post-consumer. Meaning, therefore, that you have to work with your members, pay through this voluntary, this PRO, so that you collect. There will be a requirement that NEMA will license the PRO. And therefore, we expect that this will be a big paradigm shift. I just want to say that much as government has done to do policy, come up with the laws and regulations, voluntary compliance is the big thing, which is why we want Kenyans to be educated and to change the mindset and their behavior so that you don't need to be regulated. You have to just know from, if at home, the nannies, and I really like to echo and congratulate what Nyayo Estate Resident Association are doing, because that is what we'll expect. If they are doing it in Nyayo Estate, why can't we have all estates in Kenya being done? So I want to finish your question by saying, we have come up with a policy, and we went ahead to develop an action plan for waste for Nairobi, which is why today we are here to roll out the awareness campaign. But the policy is not meant only for Nairobi. And the laws are not meant for Nairobi, they are for the whole country. So we are going to be working with the counties to roll out this, even as Parliament enacts the law. But we are already going to be rolling out this to make sure that we do what is possible to be done, because we already have regulations in place. We don't need to wait for that bill to be enacted in Parliament, because we have regulations like the EPR. So a lot of the manufacturers will have to fit into that already.
All right.
Thank you.
Let's appreciate the PS. And PS, I'd like to take you back on an issue that you raised, that 70% of the waste collected, only 20% of it is recycled. And how do we increase this number? And what will be the impact? I'd like you to quickly respond to this, as you also get Representative Mary Vane to also chip in.
We are saying under the linear model, the current linear model, we are still able to have 20% of what is collected to be recycled. Now we are saying we are moving to circular, meaning when we pass this law and it becomes law, it will be a requirement, it will be mandatory. So we expect therefore the percentage to increase. First of all, there will be all waste. We expect that there will be no waste being left. 100% of waste will be collected.
Yes.
But then none of it will end up in there. Only 5% should go to a landfill. The rest, 95%, should find its way around the circularity we are talking about. If it's organic, we will expect that through composting, we will be able to get some value derived out of all organic waste. For recyclable waste, we expect there will be reuse and recycling. Therefore, we derive as much maximum value. In the process, therefore, the impact will be huge, because first, we shall reduce waste in our environment, so we shall have more clean environment, safe environment, but more importantly, we are creating opportunities out of waste. Taka ni mali, meaning we are going to be creating more jobs and we are going to be creating wealth. So we should see more impact in terms of GDP and wealth creation.
Awesome.
Thank
Taka ni mali. Mary Vane, I want to get your quick reactions. And then we want to open up this discussion to our audience, where my co-host, Talia, will be driving this. But let's listen to Mary Vane first.
Just an addition on what the previous speakers just spoken. If you look at the 70% of organic waste that is being collected, it is actually not supposed to be called waste. It is supposed to be called a resource. I'll give you an example. Kamukunji sub-county produces 2,300 tons per day. The number of hotels there are the biggest in East and Central Africa. And when you look at the waste that is collected there, it is not waste, it is a resource. And we have a lot of demand of pig food, where the remains of the food in the hotel, for example,
yes,
are again resold to either scavengers or people that are doing pig farming. So if we look at it from that cycle, we actually have a circular model, because what you're producing as waste is a resource to another person. And it all goes still to behavior. We all go to workshops, for example. I'm sorry, we might be having lunch in a few. There is this tendency of even people serving a lot that you cannot consume. Then it ends up to waste. There's a place we went to and we were told, you know what, you only serve what you can finish. It is a rule in that hotel that we would rather deal with the sewer, but not the food waste. So because the food is there, You'd rather go back and serve thrice or twice than leaving it on the plate for them to start looking for someone else to be collecting that waste. And I'm sure as a country, I would give you an example. In Uganda, Kampala City, you will never find someone eating sugarcane or eating while walking. Reason? In Kipande Road, we have several banana vendors. I always tell my bosses, the day I'll become a director, I do not want to see banana vendors on the road. Reason? Yes, we have the banana, I'll eat it. Where do you expect me to throw this pill?
Sure.
There's a time in my county in Kisii, after one person ate a banana, he threw it off the bus. There's a child who was crossing on the road and slipped on the road. So I have never understood some of these things because they are action-oriented. I would like actually to congratulate Nyayo Estate. They might not know I was behind the scenes when we met Nyayo and told them, you're the biggest estate in East and Central Africa. You need to upstand. I was the environment officer then. And we sat with the management and told them, can you do something in a small way? You might not get the authority from Nairobi City or NMS for now, but in our various estates, can we come up with ways of which by the time you stand up and everyone tells you big up, you started from somewhere. We all have the solutions. In Kenya, we have the policies, as it said, but the implementation is what is killing us. But if you can take that individual responsibility, we are talking about voluntary. We need ambassadors, people who will stop on the road and tell you, can you stop dumping? Can you stop this? If we just had 100 people in this city, I am sure Nairobi City County's work would be very good. Thank you.
Asante sana. Tunza mazingira, boresha mapato. Talia, very interesting insights coming out of the panel. I'd like to hear, what are people saying on your end?
Of course, I'm seeing a lot of people discussing the issues on our hashtags on Twitter, but I would like to know if there's anybody who has a question for any of our panelists. You can raise your hand, all right? You can have a microphone for you, just stand up. And you can let us know who you are directing your question to.
Hi, my name is Nzambi Mate, founder of Jijenge Makers Limited, and we're in the plastic space. My background is in material science and engineering. So my question is directed towards the government in the Ministry of Environment. So it comes in two fronts. First of all, I'm fortunate enough to see one of our partners, Mr. Mavji from Keep Plastic. So plastic is a very misused and misunderstood material. The first aspect is it's very bulky. And because it's very bulky, there's a huge cost implication as far as recycling it is concerned. The second aspect is to process the plastic, you need an element of heat. The biggest and the most reliable in industrial scale source of energy is electricity. So then begs the question, what incentive is the government putting in place to motivate the players within that space, either by reducing the cost of electricity or by reducing the cost of levies that come with the logistic behind the collection? That's the first question. The second question is, there are different types of plastics. In the packaging space, there is ideally 7 categories, but the category 7 is others. And we have different types of plastic, especially plastic that comes, that is imported. And we as players in the recycling space, we don't know, rather we don't have yet, we yet have the expertise to process these types of plastics. What other not incentives, but measures is the government willing to put in place to tackle this type of plastic? Because right now, for example, all of us, you are wearing masks. What happens to these masks after we finish them? It's a type of plastic we are not yet known how to process it. Thank you.
Asante sana. Talia, hizo maswali zimeenda shule.
Zimeenda shule kabisa.
All right, we can maybe have 2 more.
Yes, we can have 2 more. Anybody else with a question? You can raise your hand. Okay, gentlemen, then we come here.
Okay, my name is Dan Kaburu from K24 TV. I'm an environment reporter. So on these issues of environment, I've reported so many years, and I have some experience with the people who do garbage collection around. My question goes to the PS. Of course, I know we'll have time with you, but for the panel, have we involved these people who do garbage collections in the estates? Because most of them, when they take the garbage from the estates, they go and dump along the roads. I don't know whether in the policy that you're making, whether you've involved them in this, that it becomes easier for you to access the estates where we have this garbage and maybe what their response is. Number two, I walk along Kijabe Street. If you walk all the way from Globe Roundabout, go around the Kijabe Street, and then to Hariduk Road, and then back to the Central Police, there's no single dustbin around that place. So people do business, people do their things, masks are littered along the street. The question is it possible to involve business people who are along the streets to at least maybe provide a dustbin, and then now we have the county government now coming to pick up this garbage because it's a mess, but there's a way we can manage it if we involve all those business people around and maybe the people who do business around those places to make sure that this garbage that comes from their shops is well taken care of. Because I've done so much on plastic bags. Right now we have a serious challenge out there in the markets. They are back with a bang. That's when you can go out there and see. I've done a repeat story 3 times on these plastics. They are back in the market. So the porous borders, is there maybe conversation between us and other governments to make sure that we minimize these things coming back to our country?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Final question?
Yes, maybe final 2. I saw 2 people raising their hands. There's a lady here.
All right. Talia, PS is requesting we first take the first round.
Okay.
Then we allow them to shoot next.
No problem.
All right. Okay, PS, you're on the hot seat now.
I will be assisted by cars where possible. I asked that we stop because we are not taking notes, but I hope I had it was not very clear, but I heard you talk about cost of electricity. Yeah, I think on the issue of cost of electricity, and then the incentives, especially on the work, I think plastics, number 7, the other. So I think the issue of electricity costs have been addressed within the context of ensuring that our manufacturing sector is made competitive. And I know this is a matter that the Ministry of Energy is addressing, has addressed and continues to do so. So I may not be in a position where I can answer specific issues around what you are doing, but I know that for the last 10 years, we have worked very hard to make sure our electricity mix is green, which means we are addressing more about greenness, but also affordability and availability. If you look at the national grid today, we have a lot of power generation in a number of areas. We have wind power, solar, hydro, and even geothermal. And when I look at the feed-in tariffs, there has been an effort by the Ministry of Energy to reduce the feed-in tariffs in order to allow most of the investors to come into the sector. I know there are discussions around when to off-grid, I think measures, and also even the timing, whether it is in the morning and in the evening. We will take up that with the Ministry of Energy so that we can be able to address the specific issue around cost. And this is an area, because it's a new sector, we will be listening to you and discussing with you and making sure that we bring other stakeholders within government. And that also goes to your issue around incentives. We are already discussing with the Ministry of Finance to ensure that as we make measures to go green, at least those companies that are doing well in that area should get some incentives relating to tax and others. Those discussions are ongoing, and I think I encourage you to engage with us, and we shall create more forums, especially with the Ministry of Finance, so we address some of those policy measures that will help to improve the sector. But thanks for those questions, and well done for the work that you are doing. I know on the issue of masks, we have, as a ministry, come up with guidelines, working with the Ministry of Health on how to dispose this, because these are single-use masks, and we dispose them every day. you can imagine after here, we don't know how each one of you is going to handle this. And you are the one responsible for disposal. You really don't expect the government to come and tell you how to place what you have. We have already given you guidelines. We expect that in many places, these bins are going to be placed in strategic places because there are those which are hazardous. And we consider this hazardous material. Now, on recycling, I think we will need to discuss on the challenges that you are facing in order to recycle something like this kind of a waste stream. So this is work in progress, and we shall be going to be discussing. My friend Kaburu, I think the issue of what each Nairobi is doing, I think I was expecting Badi here and the county government. I think the lady will need to handle that because really we are not responsible for managing issues around Nairobi. There is a government of Nairobi and they're supposed to comply with that. So I'll leave that question to Madam here to answer. But on your issue of the issue of porous borders, we have already addressed this matter within the EAC because we need to do a harmonization of policy. And there are measures already being done to make sure that we convince Uganda and Burundi, and Tanzania. Remember, Rwanda was the first country to ban plastics, and they have done very well already.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, yes. I'd like us to get a quick reaction from Nairobi City, then we Center.
In regards to the dustbins, when you walk within CBD, you'll find there are dustbins that are there, and they are serviced either by us or the partner that assisted the dustbins to be put there. I would give you an example. In Mpaka Road in Westlands, there's a dustbin that had been put there for just in case you have your bottle and you're done with water to place it there. When it was placed the next day, we found it full with eggshells, and we believe it was from the egg hawkers, the mayai boiled thing. So at times, when you also look at where you want to put the dustbins, there are chances that are very high that it is going to be misused, number one. Two, it is also going to be cut. There's a time we did one in Embakasi East, and the next day we did not find it because it is scrap. It is already scrap material, vandalism, yeah. So we encourage partners to partner with Nairobi County, just like Takataka Solutions have also done. You adopt a street. So like that one, for example, the people that are along that route would come and apply. They partner with Nairobi City. They're given the permission so that they service the dustbins and also collect it. Because if we've tried it elsewhere, but it's not working because we are overwhelmed. But if it is also part of advertising, you can advertise your company or whatever organization that is there, then you take care of the dustbins as you also take care of the street. That is what is normally done. And I'm sure when you engage with our offices, we will also give you those opportunities. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You're simply saying, don't ask the government what it can do for you. Ask yourself what you can do for the government. Sarah?
You jumped me when it came to policies and regulations. And
in fact, there's a question
okay,
I was
fine.
to bring to you
okay,
on Twitter. Fine. Someone is asking, can you tell us what We Center is doing with the e-waste they've collected? Are they shipping it out, or are they making some value out of it? You'll respond to it later, but proceed. Okay, fine.
I'll first respond to my friend Kaburu question on what We Center is doing. What we've done is we've partnered with most of the youths in the country who are collecting, who are garbage collectors. Last year, together with Safaricom and NEMA, we trained 100 youths within Kibera, Dandora, the Ngara informal sector, and a few youths in Uasin Gishu on how to handle e-waste. They will be collecting the e-waste for us, and then we'll partner with them with various incentives. We are doing trainings. We are partnering with county governments as well, where we are having MOUs, and in that MOU is that we are going to train the youths and women group who do waste collection within that county, who are able to do that. When it comes to the question on plastics, That is the biggest headache when it comes to e-waste management. E-waste plastic is a problematic function because of the composition of that plastic. You know that it's made inflammable so that it may not catch fire. So one of the things is to treat that part of it is very expensive. And I know, Mate, we are supposed to have a meeting in our office to discuss this further. So there is discussions between the engineer and us, the practitioners, then we'll come to the ministry.
Fantastic. And we want to wrap up the Q&A session. Madam Talia.
Yes, there's a beautiful lady here who would like to ask a question. Introduce yourself and let us know who you're directing your question to.
Okay. My name is Adelaide Simiu. My question is to the chairman of Nyayo Estate. This is just to hear briefly, how did you do it? How did you make everyone comply to segregating waste? Because all the estates out there, we are struggling with that. And did you follow the approach where the PS mentioned about the policy whereby there is enforcement at every stage, that if you have not segregated your waste, it will not be collected, it will not then be, how did you do it? Was it public awareness? Was it enforcement? Just briefly. Thank you.
Thank you. One, Nyayo is a very closed, I'll say a big family. So we started with, like I said initially, a few courts as a pilot phase, and then we make it competitive and enticing in such a way. Court A, Court 5 and Court 39 are actually competing. Who has collected most plastics and what do you do with it? So we engage the kids mostly. You know, the way Nyayo is structured, I'm the executive as the chair. Below me, I've got 11 subcommittees. One of them is environment and the children's subcommittee. So we work closely with the children. It's much easier to get the children to collect. And we've got cages, some metallic cages where they go, and it's fun. It's like a fun day. They go deposit their plastics in the cages. Then the court that will have the most, you come up with an award system. You know, so eventually it became competitive. Courts were applying for these cages, and we had to now scale it up until we got to 100% in terms of collection across all the courts. It gets interesting. The way Nyayo is designed, you've got the flats. A typical court has got 10 blocks. Each block has got 8 units, so those are about 80 units in one court. But at the corner of the court, we've got a garbage collection point. We have a garbage house, about a 12 by 12 meters square room with a door. Some courts now went ahead and challenged us, even as we were developing our internal policies and on waste management. They went ahead and retrofitted this particular garbage houses and did segregation internally, whereby there is glass, e-waste, paper, organic waste, and the plastics. They went ahead. So then when they do that, they make it a fun fair. In fact, I launched about a couple within the same estate. And the other guys now see that these guys have done this. What do we do to catch up? So you make it a fun fair, while at it, you're educating people. Thank
Beautiful, beautiful. Talia, any last burning question? Only one. Just
one more. Anybody? I think we've been on that side. Maybe we can give this gentleman here. Kindly stand up and give us your name and let us know who you're directing your question to.
Morning. Thank you.
For the Nyayo chair, I'd love you to share with us, because I know there are many issues. How do you resolve disputes that are emerging in this sector?
Thank you for your question. And that marks the end of our Q&A. We'll of course allow our very important audience to still engage with our panelists, even if it's virtually. But let's quickly get some reactions because we need to wrap up this session. We need to go to the next stage where we have the unveiling of the circular economy. Bwana Chair.
To answer, I think your question is more or less like, what are the challenges? Of course, you're changing a tradition and a behavior that has been enshrined over the years. You're telling these people, take your plastic, segregate it. You're not even providing this kind of containers, which is going to be a plus to us as well. We've been doing a lot of education and awareness internally, especially, like I said, with the children and the nannies. Sometimes they will go overboard and not really follow the instructions that have been laid. What we've done, like in Nyayo Estate, we've got a time. Sometimes we lock these particular cages, these garbage houses, and allow trash to be taken at a particular time. When it is being taken at a particular time, there's someone monitoring. So if you do not segregate, we correct you right there, so that the next time it's abated. I hope I've.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will answer it this way. For the regulations which we have developed, the regulations will be implemented by NEMA. In other words, NEMA is the one that will ensure it follows on enforcement. So if in any way NEMA has taken an action that you don't agree, we already have the National Environmental Tribunal, where you can put your complaint on the decisions of NEMA. I think that's number one. Number two, on waste management policy, bill that is going to Parliament. I know there is a Waste Management Council that has been put in place, and an attempt has been made in that bill to address issues around dispute settlement. But again, the legal framework, that law, when it is enacted by Parliament, it will be implemented by NEMA. And again, therefore, NEMA's decisions can be challenged through a National Environmental Tribunal. If you don't agree with the tribunal, there is a court process. You can go through all the various cadres of the court. Thank you.
Thank you, PS.
And then, I think let Cass also add his voice.
All right.
The question somebody was asking is, how does that person, Mama, who cannot access the offices? I think if somebody check the website, NEMA has a number, a hotline, which is managed 24 hours. If there's a disaster, if you think a factory is doing something, and the inspectors will come to ensure that and it's logged. So it cannot just, once somebody calls, it's logged and it's known. So later on, if investigations are done and somebody did not act, then you can actually take. And then, as he said, we have the tribunal, we have also the ombudsman, the committee, which is more accessible. They do public hearings. They can go to villages. So I think there's a bit of check and balance there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to the tail end of our panel, and I'd like them to give us their closing thoughts. I'd like to begin with Sarah as we progress to Madam Marianne. Then we'll have the chair, PS, and our chief guest closing.
My closing remarks will be that you all visit the various malls that we have in the country. We have bins in partnership with Carrefour. In every other Carrefour supermarket, there is an e-waste bin. Number two, any Safaricom customer care shop has an e-waste bin. You can call us. We'll come and pick up. We are doing school drives. We just finished, did Kyoto schools during the World Environment Day. And the other one is to challenge the government. That's why I said you jumped me when it came to policy. There is an e-waste regulations that has been pending since 2013. We would like to see that worked on, simply because even as the EPR comes in, the EPL does its work, and I'm glad to report that the EEE sector has already organized itself. I think Dr. Ayub Macharia is aware of that. We've organized ourselves, and very soon there will be the e-waste, the EEE PRO. And the reason why we want to see the e-waste regulations enacted is so that we are able to, so that NEMA is able to enforce illegal dumping of e-waste.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Mary Vine, your closing remarks in less than a minute.
I'll close in a question. For all of you that believe in the creation story, I will ask you, when were you created?
Come again.
If you believe in the creation story, when were you created? When was man created? On which day? It is a question I expect to be answered. On there? I know churches were closed for some time, but that one you cannot forget. When were we created, kindly? We were created on the 6th day. And what did God do on the 7th day? You should be asking yourself why you were created on the 6th day and he rested on the 7th day. You were created on a day after he had created the sun, the moon, the waters, and the environment. We were created to take care of the environment, which you and me are supposed to. Kindly, let's take the responsibility ourselves. My waste, my responsibility. God bless you.
My waste, my responsibility. Asante sana. Chairman Nyayo Estate, and I hope I'll get to visit the estate soon. I'm really impressed.
Please do. My challenge is to Nairobi and Kenya as a whole. We've done it. It's possible. We didn't have to wait for the ministry or anybody else, NMS, to come and tell us so many things. We just wanted to do it. It's a commitment, passion, and dedication. It's not easy. It's doable. You can convert this into materials. You can create employment. In the last 1.5 years, I think we have created employment. The young men and women who collect these plastics, all that value chain, the drivers and everybody else. So yes, while you're doing it, it's adding value and doing something better for the environment. It's doable. Tafadhali tunaweza ifanya.
Thank you so much. PS, Dr. Kipto.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think when we started this discussion, I indicated that we have 3 main challenges in the world, which is climate change, biodiversity loss, and the issue of waste and pollution. If we address and embrace this issue of circularity, we will be dealing with the problem of waste and pollution. And that means our rivers and our oceans, our lakes, will have less pollution. That means you will therefore not be affecting the biodiversity in those. So by addressing and embracing circularity, we're addressing biodiversity loss challenges. Number 2, over 70% of greenhouse gas emissions come from materials that we deal with every day, that end up producing waste. So to the extent that we address circularity, it means we are also reducing the issue of greenhouse gas emissions, so therefore we are addressing the problem of climate change. So in my view, we become better stewards of our environment if we embrace circularity. And I'm therefore calling upon Kenyans to embrace this circularity, because we need to now change, like Nyayo Estate have done. They don't call it waste. They say materials. They don't say dumping or place. They don't say littering. They talk of placing. And I think that is where to go. Thank you very much.
Asante, Daktari. Thank you. Our chief guest.
For me, just to say, you know, Kenyans, is this famous advert, Serikali. So we are the Serikali. I mean, the government will put in place the policies, and all those ideas, again, came from everybody.
Yes.
It is us to make sure that we actually implement it, and that we just make sure that we take care of our waste. First, we take care of our consumption. Don't buy things you are not going to use that will rot, and then they become waste. So start there. Just get what you actually need. The water you use, you know, everything that you use.
Yeah.
Must you own 20 shirts, you know? So we reduce our consumption, we segregate, we make sure we take the waste to the right place. And of course, we support our industries. And as the lady said, we create the necessary incentives. Buy recycled goods. There are people who think if they buy something recycled, it's inferior. Actually, if you want to take care of our environment, let's all buy recycled goods. Thank you.
Asante sana. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. We've had a beautiful session. I hope and believe that you are living here with a changed mindset. Isn't it?
Yes, and checking out social media, Esther says, kudos to Nyayo Estate. I will discuss this in our estate group to see if we can also implement this. And there's also, Brian says, how do we introduce better environmental studies in schools, especially in the public schools? Because he says it starts with the children.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And I agree. And it also starts with us as parents. When you are going to the bin, start segregating. That is our clarion call today. And we'd like to transition to the next session. Talia?
Yes, and as we do that, on my right, the exhibition is on. So after the event, you can go and check out e-waste and, of course, Jijenge Makers. Later on, we're going to have Wana Vokali here with us, you know, with a nice song, some nice entertainment, and as we still have some more speakers. Abby?
Thank you. Let's appreciate our panelists as they take their seats. And we'd like to remind all of us, our hashtag is the circular economy, Nairobi. Remember to also tag at environment_KE. And we are still live streaming this on our different platforms. We are going into another session where I'd like to request our next presenter, and that is Sami Dhuo, to be ready. We are going to have you in the next few. Thereafter, we progress to Dr. Ezekiel Onyango, who will be introduced by my co-host. But ladies and gentlemen, I'd like us to give a round of applause to Mr. Sami, who is coming on stage. Sami Dhuo, Managing Director, Saraken Media.
Managing Director of Saracen Media, Sami Thuo, who is here to discuss the role of content in the circular economy.
The Cabinet Secretary, Director General, NMS, Acting Governor for Nairobi County, Principal Secretary, Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Chief Administrative Secretary, Ministry of Environment and Forestry, representatives from the Royal Danish Embassy, KEPSA, Kenya Association of Manufacturers, and all organizations present, colleagues, friends, and fellow Nairobians, good morning. Now, the circular economy is a big idea. It's about economic transformation and finding solutions to some of the biggest challenges we face today, like climate change, waste, and pollution. Now, I'm here to talk about the role of content and media storytelling in the circular economy. But I will start with an analogy which is known as the grandma test. So, the grandma test remains one of the best tools for determining the effectiveness of a piece of communication. The method posits that if you can explain an idea to your grandma in a way she understands, then chances are everybody else will also understand. With zero offense intended for grandmas anywhere, circularity struggles to pass this test. Just take a look at one of the definitions of circularity we have, which was put forth by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and try reading that out loud. Chances are you lose your grandma and everybody else right around the extractive industrial model mark. The circular economy is a big idea. It is about economic transformation and finding solutions to some of the biggest challenges we face today. While this can feel like a daunting and complex message, at its heart, the circular economy is incredibly simple, and that is what makes it very powerful. So stories are of immense importance because they enable us to imagine things collectively and act collaboratively, which are the two cornerstones in the transition to a circular economy. But what is the circular economy, and more important, what is it not? For starters, let's clear up our current status quo, which is the linear economy. A linear economy is structured to take, make, and waste, meaning that raw materials are collected, then transformed into products that are used until they are finally discarded as waste. What experts and non-experts know for sure is that if the linear economy model is not replaced, the world will approach a tipping point where it will lose the capacity to sustain itself. In contrast, the circular economy is about integration so as to enable feedback, loops, and synergies. It is an economic model designed to be restorative and regenerative. To help achieve some clarity and to ensure that the stories we tell each other about the future we need are rooted in fact, let me dispel a few of the more common circular economy myths. Myth number one, it's all about better waste management. Myth number two, it's only about recycling more. Myth number three is efficiency is the answer. And myth number four, it's just a fancy word for sustainability. History tells us that our values shift is triggered by the creation of a new story of how we want to live. We need to make sure we are telling the whole story of the transition to a circular economy because the opportunities for transformative change are abundant if we are brave enough to step into the cycle. So how does government, institutions, or companies communicate their circular economy message? First, develop a communication strategy that will ensure your circular economy message is strategically communicated both internally and externally. Messages can be communicated through the same channels used for corporate social responsibility and sustainability. For example, you can use your environmental or corporate leader, or you can utilize any number of external communication channels that are focused exclusively on the circular economy. That is the local media partners we have. And I'm glad to see our friends from K24 are here. Thanks for making it, Ken. Second, ensure the communication message is content-based and is transparent, consistent, and persuasive. Your circular economy message should include the following elements: content on real-life examples that demonstrate practical application of elements of the circular economy, stories of collaboration, co-creation, co-development, and societal transition that inspire and motivate your audience. Stories are very compelling, and visual elements are particularly persuasive behavior change techniques for novel concepts such as the circular economy. Use stories to share your successes, but don't be afraid to share your failures as well. Sharing your lessons learned through both successes and failures can help further advance the transition towards a circular economy. Editorial content with messages that inform consumers of their new role in the circular economy: rental, repair, return, rebuy, retain, resell, remunerate, and shared reuse, while communicating that recycling is the last option. Statistics that reflect the outcome of your circular project should also be in place. Call to action content that challenges consumers, government, and the industry to embrace the circular economy. So how do we frame our stories to make them understandable? We need to move from 0 to 100. We often told the story of how fast a car will move from 0 to 100, but almost never how it will go back to 0. It is the storytelling of a proud guy standing, tapping his Porsche, saying, "My car can go from 0 to 100 in 5 seconds flat." Try ask him, "Okay, then what?" He will get confused. Then what? What? Linear storytelling ends at 100. Circular storytelling is different because it never ends. A tree grows, it blossoms, it decays, it dies, becomes a soil, and new trees grow up. Life becomes the base of a new life in a never-ending cycle. Many stories might be seen as following a similar circular pattern. The archetype of our storytelling follows a similar circular logic through space and time, and that is the format we would like to apply in communicating the circular economy in the days following this launch. Asanteni.
Thank you so much, Sami Thuo.
All right, a big round of applause for Mr. Sami Thuo.
He is the managing director of Saracen Media.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, we are soon getting to the point we've all been waiting for.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
And as we told you before, we also have a performance coming. So si ati mtakuwa tu mmekaa,
Kabisa.
Wamekaa kabisa.
Yeah,
There's a
they
little
need
bit
to
of
stretch, shake a
entertainment, a
leg.
bit, you know, you can shake a leg,
Yeah.
feel a bit warm. So that is going to be coming through from Wana Vokali.
Yeah. And I'd like to acknowledge the arrival of the Nairobi Metropolitan Director General, Major General Badi. A big round of applause to him.
Karibu sana.
He's not come alone. He's been accompanied by senior staff from State
Oh,
House. Karibuni
okay.
sana.
Welcome. And kindly follow the pages on Facebook, on Twitter, and keep the hashtags going. We are still streaming live on YouTube right now. And I would like to introduce Dr. Ezekiel Onyango to the stage. He is a communications expert, Circular Economy Nairobi, and he will be discussing communication devices for the youth and kids. Karibu sana.
A big round of applause for Dr. Ali.
Good morning, everybody. When I say good morning, if we've had the pleasure to congregate after months of not congregating, you respond in a very probable way. So I'll try again. Good morning. Thank you. My name's Ezekiel, and as she has introduced me, I'm a communications person. And when I met the team from the Ministry of Environment at the beginning of this public awareness campaign, I must say that I met a team of brilliant people led by Dr. Ayub Masharia, and we have worked together. We've had consultations with different partners, with different groups, including Nairobi County, Nairobi Metropolitan Services, and in the end, as much as we are communications experts, we were also educated a great deal in the area of environment and circularity. And that made me think really deeply on how we can efficiently communicate this noble concept of circularity. And there's something Malcolm X once said. He said, tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. And if we make the right moves now, circularity will become something that will be embraced without a struggle. And my conversation today is keen on education and how do we ensure the youth and the kids of Kenya understand this concept and adapt it for what it is. And this is a framework that will go around developing curricular framework for schools and education, developing exemplary educational kits on circular economy, and rethinking entirely the whole education system to include these two cohorts of people. So having said that, we agree that circular economy is a new and emerging sustainability perspective that is built on the natural world where there is no concept of waste and everything is a resource. It sounds so simple, yet so hard to understand. And as we sit here, we are all adults, I thought that it would be important to share with you what we are thinking as creative devices to use for the youth and for the kids. And that takes me to a very simple session and a small video that I've prepared to help in my small speech. When you look at kids, regardless of their background, whether they come from the city, whether they come from the village, whether they come from affluent families or well-to-do families, there's one thing that unifies them. And in my view, that is cartoons. Everybody will watch Superman, everybody will watch Batman, everybody will relate to a cartoon. And we thought, as a starting point, let us develop something around this that we will then develop further with the Ministry of Education as a tool that is used in the schools to help the kids understand the concept of circularity. So my gentleman in the control box, if you would kindly play my small video for Dustin, and then I'll pick up my conversation from there.
Hi, boys and girls. My name is Dustin, and I'm here to teach you about how you can become a hero. Our beautiful Earth is dying because we keep taking from it, and what we take, we don't give back. Instead, what we're giving back to it are bad things which are killing it every day. But you can be the one who saves the Earth. All you need to do is take care of how you handle your waste. Waste is anything you throw away when you're done with it or when you don't need it anymore. To help you do this, you'll get help from me and my special friends. They help me collect the things you throw away so that they don't go to the wrong place that will harm the Earth. But we can only do that if you give us the right waste that belongs to us. Dustin Blue only takes paper and plastic. When you don't finish your food or when you want to throw away the peels from your fruits, always give them to me, Dustin Green. Also, remember to always separate them. If you used plastic to keep some food and you want to throw away what is left, I can't take plastic and Dustin Blue can't take food. So always separate them and put them where they belong. Dustin Yellow is very special, and you should always stay away from it when you don't have a grown-up with you. Yellow is used by special doctors and nurses and can only be touched by grown-ups. If there's anything else that you want to throw away that I haven't told you about, that goes to Dustin Brown. Be a hero. Join me and my friends and be part of the circular economy.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that is just an example of how we can use tools that exist amongst ourselves to ensure that our kids also are put in this circular economy, because it is them who will own this conversation and advance it for what it's supposed to be. Now, we have a very powerful potential in our youth, and we must have the courage to change old ideas and practices so that we may direct their power to good ends. Fashion and music are two great artistic forms that can be molded by the youth culture and empower them to take actions for advancing the circular economy. You will all probably agree with me that music produces a kind of pleasure which human beings cannot do without. And if there is something to be changed in this world, then it can indeed be done through music. And with using music and youthfulness, we embarked on a journey to engage with the youth, because as we were doing our advocacy meetings, we realized PowerPoint presentations were not the thing for them. So we sat with them in a room and found out how best would we communicate to you, how best would we pass this message of circularity to you to ensure that you pass it over to the other youth that part of Nairobi. And I'll play another small video to just show you how this engagement worked and the end product of this engagement.
Nabonga na wadosi watu ordinary na wasera serikali.
Kwenye trash kuna treasure, reimagine, recreate and restore. Ukitupa kwenye dustbin, blue ni ya paper na plastic, green ni ya vitu organic, yellow for the medic na brown zingine zote. Waste wealth yani taka ni mali, a free and secure future yangu ni kali. Wako ni trash na kwangu mimi ni mali. Come join the circle, twende kazi. Come join the circle, the circular economy. Come join the circle, taka ni mali. Come join the circle, the circular economy. Come join the circle, juu taka ni mali. Circular economy ndiyo kusema kusema mali una save mazingira unaboresha.
Get on board, come join the team. Show us that you can lead.
Wazee kwa vijana, wa baba na wa mama, Nairobi to Mombasa, kote bila mpaka. Kwenye trash kuna treasure, reimagine, recreate and restore. Come join the circle, the circular economy. Come join the circle, takani mali. Come join the circle, the circular economy. Come join the circle, jutakani mali. Jutakani mali. Circular economy ndio kusema. Circular economy. Kwenye trash kuna treasure. Jutakani mali.
Get on board, come join the team.
Circular economy. Jutakani mali.
What they came up with on their own once they grasped the concept of circularity. And because we've been sitting for a long time today and we've been listening to a lot of people, I would like to say that they're here, and I would like for them to take 5-6 minutes to perform the song, because it is a song that we will all embrace and hope that it will serve the purpose it's meant for. Thank you, and thank you very much.
Another round of applause for Dr. Ezekiel Onyango. He is a communications expert at Circular Economy Nairobi. And as you heard, the beautiful, beautiful jingle from Wana Vokali, which is called Circular Economy, they are here to perform for us. My favorite quote from Bob Marley is, "One good thing about music, when it hits you, you feel no pain." So you can get up and dance from where you are. I know AC imeshika watu kidogo, naona kuna watu wamejishikilia hivi kidogo kidogo. You can just get up and move from where you are if you feel like dancing. But we have Wana Vokali. Karibuni to the stage. A round of applause. Wana Vokali.
Thank you, Talia. Good morning, everyone. We are Wana Vokali, performing and recording artist based in Nairobi. We're also very passionate Kenyans. So passionate that before Corona started, we traveled to South Africa to represent our country in a Pan-African singing competition, where we emerged as the winners, and Kenya got the title of Old Neutral Amazing Voices. And shortly after that is when we got in touch with the Circular Economy team, and they told us that one of the big challenges they have with the vision and their mission is convincing Kenyans and the public to adopt all these dustbins and to segregate their waste and do what is right. And one of the best ways to do that, as Ezekiel has said, is through music. And that is where we come in. And we sat down in an office and we wrote a very nice song, and we have the pleasure to perform it, to debut it to you, the first audience to have an actual live performance of the song. So please feel free to dance. If it moves you, feel free to move, bob your head, shake your hips kidogo. Please, kuna baridi nyingi sana, upate joto, and enjoy the performance.
Na wadosi watu ordinary na sawa serikali, usi waste blue ya paper na plastic, green ya vitu organic, yellow for the medic na brown zingine zote.
Waste ni wealth, yani tosha ni
twende kazi, enjoy the circle, the circular economy. Come join the circle, Takani Mali. Come join the circle, the circular economy. Come join the circle, Jutakani Mali.
Circular economy ndio kusema mali una save mazingira unaboresha.
Get on board, come join the team. Show us that you can lead.
Wazee kwa vijana, wa baba na wa mama, Nairobi to Mombasa,
kote bila mpaka. Come join the circle, the circular economy. Come join the circle, Takani Mali. Come join the circle, the circular economy. Come join the circle, Jutakani Mali. Jutakani Mali.
Circular economy ndio kusema.
Circular economy. Jutakani Mali.
Show us that you can
lead. Circular economy. Jutakani Mali.
Thank you. Let's educate Kenyans. Let's tell Kenyans what we need to do to save our country and to save the world for future generations. Thank you so much.
Another round of applause for Wana Vokali. Sounds so beautiful. If you love the video, you can share it on your social medias, share it again to your colleagues and your followers. As we move along, this is the Nairobi we want. We're moving from a linear to a circular economy. The hashtags still keep going on social media, of course, towards a zero waste city. If you have any issues, you can also let us know if there's something that you want us to mention, especially when it comes to circular economy. You can also let us know as we continue. Please maintain social distance, wear your mask at all times, and please sanitize. We now have a video on success stories. It is the circularity practices of Nairobi. Check it out.
All right, we are sorting that out in a short while. We are having the video up in a few. Bear with us. All right, sound team.
As we get the video up on the screen, the hashtag Circular Economy Nairobi, Taka ni Mali, Boresha Mapato, Waste is Wealth, and join the circle. Waste is wealth. Hiyo inamaanisha taka ni mali, direct translation. And the hashtags, as you can see, nimekuambia, you can follow the Twitter handles, which are right there at environment_KE. On Facebook, we are Circular Economy Nairobi, and the stream is live right now. I believe we are ready with the video. In a couple of minutes, we will be talking to, we'll be getting some speeches for more of our guests. Lunch will be served at the end of the event. And of course, our exhibit is still on. On the left of the stage, we have e-waste, Jijenge makers. And you can go and check out what they're doing and what you can also do and achieve at home. Abby?
Oh yes, we still have a lot to offer. Out here, like my co-host Talia has mentioned, we have different setups that show you the circular economy already in action. Remember, this event is being streamed live on our different platforms, and you can follow the live proceedings. You can share with your friends. You can share on your official handles at environment_KE. And of course, remember, this is the day that we've been waiting for, Talia, where we're pushing the agenda of a circular economy, where we'll see Nairobians live in a different way.
Yes, we bring back Nairobi, the city in the sun.
All right. And remember when in the morning we were talking about cycling in Nairobi, having the walkways. Do you know the person who has been behind this is with us?
Yes. Oh, you know, cycling in the highway is something I would love to do.
Yeah.
But I'm scared of riding my bike on a bottle or you know, banana.
Remain, yeah.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
there's so much waste on the roads, and of course, we also don't have places where we can ride our bikes. So that is also an issue. There's so much pollution. There's people everywhere. So I think waste management is something that should be highly introduced, especially in schools and especially in our homes, in our estates, and where we live.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why today we are having this very important event, the circular economy. And all this has been put together thanks to different partners, including the Ministry of Environment. That's a signal that our video could be ready.
Our video is ready. All right, let's check it out.
Let's watch the video.
Waste ni wealth, taka ni mali. This simply means that the waste you handle every day translates to financial growth within the circular economy, which in turn will come back around to you.
My name is Simone Andersson. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer here at the We Center. We have a circular business here since 2012. It all sprung out of Computers for Schools Kenya, a non-profit, since 2002, deploying computers out to schools and also refurbishing them. After a few years, we realized that we were posing a problem towards the schools because the computers, after a while, they become obsolete. So we started a take-back scheme. We take it in and we look at the things that we've gotten, which could be anything from cables, chargers, mobile phones, computers, fridges, light bulbs, batteries, you name it, anything that is electric or electronic. And then we dismantle what cannot be reused or resold. We dismantle it into fractions, different types of metals, different types of plastics, and we have local dealers or recyclers that will buy these items and use in their production.
In the process of circular economy, what happens is that items, once they come into the system, they can be reabsorbed back. And there is a very huge opportunity for people who want to take up in the sector for circular economy. Besides the electronics and so on, there are other opportunities that are coming up, and it's something that we can take up. We Center alone is not able to cover the whole of Kenya. So SMEs and youth groups and CBOs have an opportunity to come up and partner with us, and also partner with any recycling firm to be able to uptake the opportunities that to come in.
My name is Norbert Agesa. I work for Kamongo Waste Paper Kenya Limited. Kamongo Waste Paper Kenya Limited has been in operation for the last 30 years. Basically what we do here is segregate the papers into different grades to make it easier for now the big recyclers. We have a group of ladies that we have employed. Their work is to do the segregation, to grade the papers into their different grades. After grading, we bale the papers together into huge bales for easy transportation and also for storage. Now the paper will be ready to go into the market. So much is generated in terms of waste paper. And so many people don't know that through these waste materials that are generated from our homes every day, from our industries, from our offices, can really be a good source of wealth and also a source of employment to many youth. It will also help us safeguard our environment, because instead of all the garbage, as people call it, go into the landfill, it's reclaimed back, brought back to us and other industries like maybe the plastic recyclers and they're recycled. So I'll advise maybe the government to come up with incentives, like maybe tax incentives, to enable the youth and other people who would like to enter into the recycling industries. Many jobs will be created, wealth will be created, and also our economy will be boosted.
My name is Mavji Varsani, owner for Wins Plastics. We are basically recyclers collecting plastic waste. We started this company about 12 years ago. The main intention of the company was to ensure how we can be able to manage waste. It has a lot of benefits about it. So it's a matter of now seeing how we can make best of what the waste we produce, how we can be transformed. We produce less waste, transform more, and I think we'll be able to reach a solution where we are going to be able to eradicate the plastic waste. We have seen concepts internationally where they're able to convert about 6 tons of plastic to a nice house. We can change the slums. Yeah, the government can give initiatives, they can give grants for such kind of projects. And we encourage people to come here and see that this is nothing magical. This is what we do every day. Yeah, and it can be done from your side to help manage the situation. The thing is, people have to understand that and appreciate that, yes, there are people who want to do it, but now is the support they need to also do. So it becomes like our partnership to be able to see how we can control it and reduce it totally.
I am Edwin Kamau, and I'm the Managing Director of Eco Holdings, where we actually repurpose both food and market waste into an organic fertilizer within 24 hours. The resulting organic fertilizer that comes from this process is very versatile in terms of increasing soil fertility and increasing food production. Now, all these things we are doing here are to enable us to be ensure that we have an environmental friendly process which is sustainable and one that actually encompasses a green and circular economy. Our challenge I foresee when I look ahead, will be us being able to meet the demand. In terms of circularity, we are affecting those 3 aspects, the waste management, agricultural production, and climate change at the same time, just to ensure that we are able to have a better environment, better foods, and make sure that we are not affected by climate change issues. When we go the circular way, we are better off. In our homes, it's a high time now the government needs to actually catalyze this whole process of the separation of waste, whereby you separate the waste at source. Because when we do that, then it's easier to deal with it. A lot of education and awareness need to be, go out there so that people see waste as value.
My name is Nzambi Mate, founder of Jijenge Makers Limited and also part of Jijenge team. Jijenge ni kampuni tuna provide or rather produce and manufacture alternative building products. Product yetu ya kwanza ni pavers, zile zenye zinatumika kwa barabara, zinatumika kwa parking, hizo mawe hizo. Na tunatengeneza using recycled waste plastic. Tuna process using machinery. Tulianza 2017, but ki production na ki sales tulianza 2020. Uptake imekuwa fiti sana. Right now tunatengeneza brick moja, but demand imebidi tuna diversify. Na tuna hope tunaweza get more suppliers ndio tuweze kumeet demand ya product finished goods juu production capacity yetu bado ni less kidogo. Ningetaka kuwa invite mkuje kwa launch ya circular economy, mcheki ideas zenye ziko kama hizi zetu za Jijenge, muone kazi safi tunatengeneza na what we hope to proceed in the future. Juu tunaona sasa tunatengeneza za barabara, we hope kutengeneza za mjei. Juu affordable housing pia ni challenge, so if you can have affordable building materials, they itakuwa form yote from recycled waste plastics. Chekiani.
My name is Teddy Obiero. I am the chairman Nyayo Estate Residents Association, NERA. 1.5 years ago, we embarked on recycling. This is particularly plastic. We focus on plastic because we knew plastics is choking the environment. So far, we've done about 3.5 tons. We've managed this because we collect, we separate, we segregate our plastics at source, kutoka kwa nyumba. So when you take that soda, when you drink that water, when you have that yogurt, hiyo chupa tunaweka kando pembeni, and then we've designed a cage where all the plastics go in. and they're collected on a monthly basis. We didn't know we could make money from plastics. So as we collected, then of course the other question is, where do you take them? We got a partner in Athi River, T3, and they said, you know what, guys, we can take these plastics from you at 10 shillings per kg. When it gets to the factory, we've been there, they actually they pallet them for other uses. So it can be used in a 3D kind of a machine where they want to design toys with this. They're actually doing fabric, polyester fabric. I have a t-shirt from plastic. You wouldn't believe it. You know, I'm challenging the bodies, the authorities, county government of Nairobi, probably NMS, if they can come with a model of segregating all this with the bin liners, color code them, whatever has to be done. Because it is very much possible. Once we do this with enough civic education and living example, people who have actually done it and managed this, it is very possible. And this is straight to Nairobians. Nyayo Estate is part of Nairobi. We are 30,000, we've done it. 1.5 years, it's not a joke. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but it's doable. It's commitment, it's passion.
Step into a more sustainable way of life and ensure a better tomorrow. Play your part in the circular economy. Usi waste, taka ni mali, waste is wealth.
An amazing video there on the success stories, and these are things you can practice at home, your work areas, and of course in your day-to-day lives. I'd like to acknowledge the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Denmark, Green Growth and Employment Program, the Nairobi County Government, and the Nairobi Metropolitan Services.
All right, let's give a round of applause of the voices behind the videos, because they have made an impact, and that is why we are here to drive the circular economy. And Talia, quite some interesting feedback we are getting on social media.
Yes, social media is erupt right now, especially, you know, with the Nyayo Estate.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying, you know, where we live, there's a lot of garbage, there's a lot of trash. Even the garbage collection is, as they say, as the youth are saying on social media, it is just so random. You know, and people, they don't have also designated areas where they can, you know, throw their trash, where the trash can be picked up. They don't have the designated bins, so they would like to have that. They would like to implement that. And as Esther had tweeted earlier, she said she was discussing this with her group, her estate group on the WhatsApp group, and said, you know what, this is something that we can do. Let's sit down, let's talk. And yes, this is something you can also do at home. You know, when you head back home in your WhatsApp groups right now, of course, we all have our estate WhatsApp groups, or, you know, just in the areas where we live. You know, you can talk about it and just come through together and make the area where you are and make the environment a bit cleaner and a bit safer for us to live.
My trash, my responsibility.
True.
All right, we want to take it to the next level, where we want to invite our key guests to give us some key remarks as we wrap up this very important event. And I'd like to bring on stage Dr. Chris Kipto, the PS for Environment, who will later on invite our CAS. Thereafter, we have our Major General Mbadi coming on stage. Thank you.
Karibu.
Major General Badi, DG, NMS, our CAS, Honorable Mohammed Elmi. I can see colleagues also from NMS and all participants. Good morning. Or is it afternoon? I think we have been here for too long. I already participated in the panel and made my remarks off the cuff, but now I'm doing my official address as a PS, so I'll be reading and, of course, adding anything that I find necessary. But just to say that it's my pleasure to join this launch of an awareness campaign on circular economy for Nairobi County. At this onset, I want to thank my colleagues at the ministry for putting up all the organization. I think it's so far, so good. Well done. I would like to say that this launch comes at a time when the world is committed to address the triple interconnected global environmental emergencies, what I called earlier 3 planetary crises. The crises in our planet, 3 of them, major. One is climate change, and I think I will not explain that because we all know. The other one is biodiversity loss. We are losing our biodiversity at a rate that if we don't act, it will be a problem to us. And the last one is pollution and waste. So those 3 issues are what is occupying the international agenda. And it's for this reason that the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration was launched on 5th June 2021 during the World Environmental Day, the World Environment Day, which we hosted in Garissa. General Badi, we should have invited you. But the world actually celebrated in Pakistan, the World Environment Day. And it is in Pakistan that Pakistan itself as a nation made a declaration of what is called the 10 billion tree tsunami, that they were going to put up to make sure they plant 10 billion trees in addressing this over the next 5 years. So the UN Decade for Ecosystem Restoration is meant to address issues of climate change and biodiversity loss, as well as prevent, halt, and reverse the degradation of ecosystems on every continent and prevent mass extinction of species. I also want to say that this launch is coinciding at the time when we are all facing this issue of COVID, the big problem. We have had disruptions in our social, economic, and environmental tenets of our development. And the impact of this pandemic, no doubt, has been huge. We have lost millions of shillings. We have lost people. We have people who are still sick. And there are so many people who have lost their jobs. These challenges have brought to the fore discussions regarding our unsustainable consumption and production as a threat to human health, prosperity, and equity. Some of you may have read a report called Circularity Gap Report of 2021. This report indicates that material use and handling accounts for 70% of the global greenhouse gas emissions. Enabling a circular economy and environmentally sustainable use through extended producer responsibility, life cycle assessment, reuse, and recycling is a very fundamental shift towards sustainable development. You may all be familiar with the famous Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement goal on the 1.5 degrees centigrade may not be attainable unless all countries embrace circular economy principles. I think I mentioned earlier that it is estimated that every Kenyan every day generates half a kilo of waste. So 45 million Kenyans means over 22,000 metric tons is generated every day. General Badi, here in Nairobi, we have estimated that every day Nairobians generate over 3,000 metric tons of waste. With an increasing population, more production, more consumption, and more urbanization, the Nairobi City County government is challenged in collecting, in recycling, in treating and disposing the ever-increasing quantities of solid waste. We have also done some research in our ministry, and we have indicated that of that 22,000 metric tons, or the 3,000 tons in Nairobi generated, about 60% of that is organic, while around 30% of that is what can be recycled. And the balance is, the 10% is what goes to landfills. But we also know that unmanaged organic waste emits methane gas, which is a potent greenhouse gas, as the waste rots, and leachate pollutes waterways, including our underground water. And what we have been practicing is where we just collect, we don't sort our waste from source, take it to a truck, no sorting, take it to a landfill or a dump site. We want to change that language. We don't want to hear anything like a dump site or mixed waste. And therefore, we have to move away from that linear model. And the linear model involves you take, use, dispose, which is subsequently followed by poor waste management practices, uncontrolled dumping sites, litter and garbage in the streets, rivers, pollution of our air and water bodies. Of the 50 world biggest dump sites, 19 are in sub-Saharan Africa. And Kenya hosts one of them, which is the famous Dandora. And I think Nairobi needs to be known more than just that Dandora. Circular economy in waste management involves handling discarded materials as commodities for reuse rather than for disposal, and conserving them through waste prevention, recycling, composting, and other technologies. Proper waste management can provide an opportunity to generate value from the waste and reduce the quantities ending up in landfills, while at the same time creating employment opportunities. That's why we are saying taka ni mali. Circular economy will unlock many investment opportunities where the private sector could exploit. And we just saw the video here. As I finish my speech, I want to say that Kenya has made significant achievements in promoting circular economy. First, we started in 2017 with the ban of single-use plastic bags nationally. And I think there's been good progress. None in our supermarkets. You will never go to a supermarket and come out with polythene bags. That is very good progress. We have also banned single-use plastics in protected conservation areas. Despite this progress, we have heard that there is still a lot of single-use plastics in the streets and many other places. The other thing we have done as a nation is that we have an updated national determined contribution, and we have what we call Climate Change Action Plan. All these documents try to mainstream circular economy as an important tool in the fight against climate change and in the attainment of sustainable development goals. The other thing that the Ministry of Environment has done is to develop a long-term greenhouse gas emission strategy that goes up to 2050, which will enhance the scope of circular economy interventions in all sectors. And in February this year, the cabinet, chaired by President Uhuru Kenyatta, approved a sustainable waste management policy and a bill. That policy is what we are rolling out today, but the bill is already before Parliament, and the bill will be seeking to actually reduce radical changes to transition our nation to circular economy. So it will be illegal not to sort waste from your house or wherever you generate that waste. It will be illegal to transport waste which is not sorted. And it will be illegal to accept waste which is not sorted. Finally, I want to say that we have developed regulations on extended producer responsibility, plastics, chemicals, waste management, and e-waste. And I want to say that these extended producer regulations have been developed after extensive and wide consultations. We have a list of products that attracts EPR obligations. Producers will be obliged to take care of their products at post-consumer stage. They will do so individually or collectively through formation of producer responsibility organizations. PROs are wholly private and will be run by members who will have equal voting power. They will not be making profits. The national EPR goals and targets will be guided activities of PROs. And I think I welcome you to get those regulations and read them. As I close, let me reiterate that circularity and sustainable consumption and production are essential to assist Kenya deliver in its commitments in multilateral agreements, including sustainable development goals. I will stop here because Cass will add on whatever I've not said, but just to say, General Badi, we appreciate what you are doing. You move around Nairobi now, clearly you can see a lot of evidence of work that has been done. The streets are clean, you have paths, footpaths, and I think somebody was saying that here, we want to see this in every estate that we are. Some of us where we live, we travel all the time, we want to do jogging, and there's a lot of challenges around the footpaths. So this is the Nairobi we want, which is clean, which is safe and secure, and we are all environmental stewards. It's now my pleasure to welcome Honorable Mohamed Elmi, who is the Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Environment, to make his address.
Mine will be very short. First is to bring the greetings of our CS Tobiko. He was supposed to be here, but then other duties came about. I think we've discussed what circular economy is and all the things we need to do. But today we also have the consultants who are helping us send out the messages. And we've already seen some of the approach, songs, social media. I just wanted to add 2 more. As I was sitting there, I Googled and checked waste and the Bible. What does the Bible say about waste? What does the Quran say about the waste? So these things we are trying to invent now were there thousands of years, and it's already been said. Like Islam says, first it stops you from, and we have a special word for it, israf, You only take what you can use. You don't add, you're not allowed to waste. So I was going to say, and the same I was seeing in the Bible, there's a whole list of them. The communication team that intends to build up that will be one area I think you can actually, because you've tackled the youth through the songs and that, there's a whole religious group in the church and the mosques that I think will also change. Because our greatest problem is not that people don't know that it's wrong to throw the trash through the window. So the guy driving this very expensive car, and I saw it recently actually, it's not that he's not educated, it's not that he doesn't know it is wrong, but somehow something is wrong. So we need to find a way of getting to them, whether it's through the law that is going to be punishment. I think there are even enough laws. As we speak, the Nairobi city had already produced a law for the waste segregation. It's already there. While we're doing for the nation, for me, that's where how do we change, peer pressure, how do we get what the Nyayo Estate did across the various different sections of. So for me, that would be the major area that we're going to change the population. How do we make it attractive? How do we make sure people know if you buy something recycled, the bottle is labeled recycled, then I buy that one instead of the one which is not recycled, because somebody has made an effort to save the environment. I think that's the major thing that, again, we need to put in these messages. Buy recycled. And the other big message which has been going on is Taka Nemali, how do we get more people to invest and make money out of recycling? I think that's probably the bigger changes that we would like to see. And finally, I just want to thank Nairobi City and the NMS, because 2.5 years ago, we said the policy draft was already in place, the bill is in place, but actually we're saying practice can lead the policy. And therefore, we partnered, and some of the work that is already going on is making us head that way. So a lot of team of NMS have been meeting with the people of ministry, because the ministry largely is to help do the laws and the policies, but ultimately it's the county governments that are going to implement quite a number of these things. And therefore, to say very thank you. The NMS coming in really has pushed it, but we still have a long way to go. I think if the campaign that today we are launching here of educating Kenyans on the circular economy takes up, it means we have to fix the thing. Somebody earlier had asked, there's the whole of the Kijabe Street with no single dustbin. We must make sure the infrastructure is there. We must make sure that when people segregate, the lorry which is coming to pick is not going to put them back together and then dump them in Dandoras, or even dump them anywhere else. And with those few remarks, I would like to invite my brother, General Badi, to make his speech. Thank you.
Yeah, I think so.
CS Environment, PS Environment, all heads of department from the Nairobi County, private sector, from the embassy, Danish embassy, members of private sectors, all protocol observed, good afternoon. Before I read my speech, I would like to say that on circular economy, we started working with the PS and CS and PS environment on this bill, and we have talked to the media about the changes that we want to see in Nairobi. We are doing our bit before the bill comes into law. We have the material recovery facilities that we are building that will sort out all the waste before going to Dandora. So we have several initiatives that we are working on. One is working with Ministry of Energy, where we will convert waste to energy projects. That project should be advertised anytime soon. And we are working through Ministry of Energy with Kengen to build that factory that will convert waste to energy after it has been sorted out. Of course, the recycling, papers, plastic will be separated. Some of the organic are the ones that are going to be burnt to produce energy, fertilizers, and so forth. But I'm really waiting for the law to come in place, because I'll be the one arresting you, not anybody else. So I'll have the pleasure, and I can assure you it will be enforced. So on my beat, I take that pledge that you go wrong against the law, you'll see me there next to you. But we have done a lot in terms of promoting the circular economy. As I said, they are already, apart from the Nyayo estate, which I saw in the video, there is a separation facilities, which I think is sponsored by Isuzu, at Embakasi, where they've employed youth to do separation, mainly for the recycled plastic and paper cardboard. So there are areas they've already started, the youths. They have been sponsored by different people, so these are ongoing, although they have not been announced officially, but we are going to do so because we are in the process of building these places in every constituency so that we ensure that we start as the county for the separation before the law comes in place where you will be forced to separate at home. So Nairobi Metropolitan Services has been mandated to deliver on improved service for Nairobi residents. As part of the ongoing efforts to restore services, NMS is undertaking several activities to restore cities' cleanliness by establishing material recovery facilities. NMS seeks to appropriately manage solid waste in circular economy model. Essentially, the MRFs, or material recovery facilities, are a component of the Sustainable Waste Management Action Plan for Nairobi. Nairobi County is heavily polluted with solid waste, and an urgent intervention to address the menace is needed. I can assure you that the issue of waste being thrown around Nairobi will cease. Since our establishment, we were working with National Youths and some other contractors on collecting waste. But now we have separated every constituency. In Nairobi, there are 17 constituencies, and we have contracted farms to cater for all Nairobi County 17 constituencies. The private contractors started work last week, so give them around 3 weeks and you'll not see a dart on the street again in Nairobi. Kenya needs to demonstrate this leadership through proper waste management. The Sustainable Waste Management Action Plan purposes to achieve a clean and healthy city, reduce cost of waste management, and create jobs. NMS has made progress in the establishment of the material recovery facilities, such as we have identified 17 sites for material recovery facilities, each in the constituency of Nairobi. We have developed design for these recovery facilities. We are in the process of implementing them. And we are also looking at addressing other emerging issues during the implementation of these facilities. The purpose of establishing MRFs is to ensure that they are designated waste collection points that allow for secondary segregation, recovery, reuse, upcycling, and recycling. There will be an MRF in each of the 17 sub-counties in Nairobi City County. The 17 MRFs will serve the waste generators with sites located. Some of the MRFs will be within public premises, such as parks and markets, while others will be sited within local communities. If I have to mention the 17 of them, one, Makadara, will be at Uhuru Market. Embakasi West will be at Molem, that is KCC behind the fire station. Embakasi Central, Umama Grounds. Westland, Kangemi Memorial Park. Dagoretti South, Karandini Market. Dagoretti North, Uhuru Park. In Starehe, Mudhurwa. Roysambu, Githurai Chiefs Area. Kasarani, Maji Mazuri Grounds. Langata, Karen Market. Kibra, Odhaya Woodley Market. Embakasi East, along Mradi Road. Madare, Huruma Grounds. Ruaraka, Babadogo Grounds. Kamkunji, Gikomba Quarry Market. Embakasi North, it will be at Dandora Dam site, and Embakasi South, it will be at Kware. Those are the 17 sub-counties of Nairobi. This initiative purposes to reclaim waste collection points and transform them in accordance with the circular economy model. So far, we have done 2, that is the MRFs at Mudhurwa Market and Molem, and we are about to complete them. We welcome collaboration from like-minded stakeholders to complete the process of all 17 of them. I will say circularity in Nairobi is increasing. As per study, in 2010, the survey by JICA, a Japanese company, revealed that resource recovery was at 5%. But at 2019, the UN Habitat study indicated an increase to 21%. The vision of this model is for Nairobi to be at 90% within a circular model. A study in circular economy in Nairobi conducted by MS Kartik Kapoor, Technical University of Munich, supported by United Nations Human Settlement Program and International Solid Waste Association of Rotterdam, concluded that the city of Nairobi scored high in circularity than Rotterdam, Netherlands, and Santiago in Chile. From existing circular processes for batteries and paper in Nairobi, 34.5 kilogram of carbon monoxide per capita is avoided annually, which in total is 151,793 metric tons, equivalent of carbon dioxide. The city of Nairobi affirms the argument that its developing economies are more circular due to their nature of need-based market demand for reused products. Higher circularity also reflects low per capita consumption in the city of Nairobi. Considering the development transition in future, the consumption can likely increase, hence decrease circularity. Therefore, a sustainable consumption approaches and use of secondary material streams must be considered and included in the city's circular economic action plan. The County of Nairobi can increase its circularity by maximizing collection and capture of materials, improving the waste collection services, improving the recovery of collected paper and cardboard waste, and of course, introducing a law for separate collection of batteries and such materials. Retaining the high possible value of materials once recovered, improving segregation of papers and recyclable at source, and promoting second-hand use of books and magazines in institutions. Remodeling, for now, the linear system through infrastructure development, processing innovation, and product innovation. Promoting second-hand use shops through institutional support, introducing the licensing category for businesses with reuse nature, and evaluate the Leon batteries recycling and refurbishing system, and partner in industrial space to establish the process. A study was conducted between August 2020 to February 2021 to develop and test a replicable method for the approach of scoring circularity in cities. It consists of two parts. One, developing a series of algorithms expressed as fractions that can be used to score circularity of a city, and two, testing these in 3 cities in different continents with widely differing GDP. One of the 3 cities that was tested is the county of Nairobi, representing the dynamics of a developing country. The focus material streams are accumulated batteries and paper cardboard that were used to evaluate the city's circularity. In the above mentioned, I welcome more collaboration in terms of research, business investment, capacity building, and funding for greater synergy. Finally, I would like to thank our host, Ministry of Environment and Forestry, for working closely with NMS in the entire process and including us in this great event. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
A better round of applause to Major General. Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to the climax of our event. Don't your neighbor tell them, we are almost there. We're almost there, isn't it, Talia?
Yes. And you can also tell your neighbor, kuna chakula, there's some food.
Yeah.
I know we are all hungry, and there's going to be some food which is served right behind you as the event is done. You can go and grab yourself some lunch and just enjoy yourself as you, of course, head over to the exhibit, which is on my left.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of groundbreaking innovations being showcased. Make sure you pass by our exhibition stand out there.
Yes, you can check out e-waste and, of course, Jijenge Makers. These are things you can, of course, try out at home. They're things you can implement in the house, in your offices, in your day-to-day lives, so you can check them out. As the hashtags continue, Circular Economy Nairobi is one, Taka ni Mali, Boresha Mapato. We have Waste is Wealth, and, of course, join the circle. You can head over to Twitter, which is at environment_KE. On Facebook, Circular Economy Nairobi. The stream is still on. It is not too late to share it with your colleagues and your followers towards a zero waste city, that is.
My trash, my responsibility.
Yes, and you keep saying that. I hope now when you get home,
I'm converted.
Is that what you'll tell your wife?
I'll be.
Ukifika nyumbani.
I'm a crusader from today henceforth.
Yes, your trash, your responsibility.
Oh yes, I want to assure all people here that this is where we want to go, where we're saying waste is wealth. Taka ni mali. We're also telling us tunza mazingira, boresha mapato, towards a zero waste city. Ladies and gentlemen, we are soon going to be playing a short video. But before we get to that, Talia, this is where we say we put on our Gideon boots.
Yes, ile hivi.
Because we have some wonderful ushers and hostesses that will be coming on stage.
Yes.
To join our key guests as we get to the unveiling stage. All right?
Yes, and may the hostesses please join us on stage, tafadhali.
Remember, our hashtag has been the circular economy, and we're also really intrigued by the feedback we are receiving. So many questions to our panelists, to our key guests that are being raised. So many people asking, how will we tap in? We love this new innovation. We love this revolution. We want to be part of it. So CSPS, we look forward to another forum where we can engage with the young people as well.
Yes, because the youth are asking questions. They have so many questions for you, and they're asking when can you have a sit down with them. and just give them more insight about this. How can they get involved? How can you work together? So those are some of the questions that are going on social media right now. So we hope the next event will have a lot more of the youth involved and come through, because they have questions and they have amazing ideas that we can all implement.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the youth, I keep on telling you, this is our time. It's not tomorrow, it is now. And we have great leaders who are ready to hold our hands, and you can clearly see we are looking forward to a great unveiling.
Abby, I was smiling because you said, you see the youth, this is our time.
And by the way, I passed...
You really stressed that out. I was like, where?
That's a good one, Talia.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to feel young and be a youth at heart.
We are youth at heart.
You said, hey, I looked at you twice.
And Major General can confirm we are very athletic, and we look forward to seeing a lot more happening in Nairobi County and replicating this across. We have our lovely hostesses on stage. We'll be inviting our key guests. We'll want to invite Dr. Chris Kipto to be on the stage, as well as our CAS, Honorable Elmi. We also want to invite Mary Vine from Nairobi County. And last but not least, we also want to invite Major General Badi to be on stage, because we're getting to the climax of our event. And let me help PS in terms of where to stand. Please be on that end. And we also would like to invite our sound team to be ready with the video. Thereafter, we'll have the unveiling. Because of COVID protocols, we'll not be having any like a report or a gift for now, but we are really excited this day. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like us to now allow our key guests to turn to watch the video. Thereafter, we shall have the grand unveiling of the
Step
circular
into a more sustainable
economy.
way of life and ensure a better tomorrow. Play your part in the circular economy. Usi waste, taka ni mali. Waste is wealth.
A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for this wonderful launch that we have today.
Yes.
All right, I'd like to ask our key guests to just stand back. Let's appreciate them for this great moment that we have. We want to have a quick photo session. We request for us to still be on stage. And Talia, we still have more people to come on stage.
Yes, we'd like to invite the Managing Director of Saracen Media, Sami Thuo, and Dr. Ezekiel Onyango, the Communications Expert, Circular Economy, Nairobi, on stage.
Let's appreciate them with another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
We'd also like to invite Eddie Gisheru Okech, founder of Trico Fund, on stage.
As well as Dr. Ayub Masharia from the Ministry of Environment. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming on stage. We can replay our video to the sound team as we get to have another wonderful session of the photos. And remember, our hashtag remains
Circular
Step
Economy
into a more
Nairobi.
sustainable way of life and ensure a better tomorrow. Play your part in the circular economy. Usi waste, taka ni mali. Waste is wealth.
beautiful. I'd like us now to gota.
Elbow,
And
elbow,
do the
neza
elbow.
gota, na elbow. That's how we
right.
do it.
Let's appreciate them, ladies and gentlemen. The men and women transforming Nairobi and Kenya. Let's appreciate them one more time.
Round of applause. The Nairobi we want towards a zero waste city.
Excellent. And today we are marking a major milestone as we transition into the circular economy. At this point in time, we'd like to invite another gentleman to give us a vote of thanks. Thank you for coming on stage for the photos. We may resume our seats. And lunch is not so far, Talia.
Lunch is not so far, just a couple of minutes away. So hang on just a little bit more and you'll be able to enjoy your lunch and, of course, check out the exhibition.
Next on stage, we have
Augustine Kenduiwo.
Augustine Kenduiwo, the coordinator, CGEE, GEP, MEF, that is, of course, the Ministry of Environment and Forestry. Let's appreciate him as he comes on stage.
Yes, thank you very much for this time. General Body, the Director General from NMS, our Chief Administrative Secretary, Mohammed Elmi, our Principal Secretary, Dr. Chris Kiptor, all protocols observed. Good afternoon. Yes, my name is Augustine Ginduyo, as you have just heard. I work with the Ministry of Environment and Forestry within the Climate Change Directorate, and I'm also the coordinator for Green Growth and Employment Program, which is a program that is supporting this event today. It is sponsored by the Royal Danish Embassy, whom I am also representing today. They were not able to join us, but they told me to represent them today here. So I think when we started this journey way back in 2017, green economy and circular economy were new concepts. And I remember it was very interesting even to understand what we mean by green products and green services. And anytime I held a conversation with my colleagues, they were just wondering, what are these green products? How do they look like? How do these green services look like? Are they the same as the ones we have? Then I remember I was actually telling them, if you go to church today, you will start changing the way you dress. If you have not been to church, you will start even changing the way you speak. And somebody will see a difference in you from the way you have been and the way you are when you got converted into either church or Islam. And I told people this is what we mean by the green products and the green services. They are the same services and the same products, but the difference is how they have been made. So we started the journey of encouraging each other, the journey of educating each other, and we were able now to relate these green products and services to the three aspects that the Principal Secretary talked about this morning. That is the biodiversity loss, the climate change, and also the waste management and pollution control. So we said, so to address these things, these are sins which we are trying to wash away in the churches and in the mosque. So if we are to address this sin, then the savior is green and circular economy. And that is where we are today. So I want to thank all of you for heeding to our call and coming to join us today in launching actually an ambitious program ahead of us, where we are going to do a lot of trainings, a lot of environmental awareness, so that even as the bill becomes law, all of us will have been educated enough to understand the provisions of this law and the regulations that are before, the regulations that are also coming, so that we are not caught unaware on some of these aspects that we are supposed to undertake. So thank you very much for joining us. We are happy. I want to thank all of you. I may not mention all your names, but we really appreciate you as a Ministry of Environment and Forestry, and we really would like to encourage you that when we go back to our institutions, because I'm told we are about over 10 different organizations represented here today, when we go back, please let us take the message on green and circular economy into greater heights. Otherwise, I want to appreciate the Royal Danish Embassy for really supporting this process. If it was not for the Royal Danish Embassy, we may not be sitting here today, but I think they committed their taxpayers' money to support this process and to support the processes that are yet to come ahead of us. As I said, we are starting a journey, a very ambitious journey, where we are going to really create awareness on this journey. Otherwise, Director General, we are very happy with your organization, with the NMS. We are very happy with Nairobi City County because you have actually welcomed us to work together. And we are actually extrapolating this. We are actually upscaling this to other counties and other cities in Kenya because ultimately what we want to see is a better environment for all of us to live in. Otherwise, thank you very much. I want to hand over to Agi to continue with the program and to guide us on our next move, that is lunch. Otherwise, God bless you, and thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Let's appreciate Mr. Augustine one more time. PS, allow me to invite you once again on stage to take one last photo with the Major General Badi before we can also appreciate other partners who are with us here this very important afternoon. Let's give them a round of applause as they come on stage.
Yes, and I would also like to invite Eco Holdings, Edwin, from Eco Holdings. Jijenge, we have Nzambi. From Vince Plastics, Mavji.
Let's appreciate them. We want to acknowledge their presence with us on this day.
And of course, from the We Center.
We'll be allowing you to come on stage, take a photo with our team. We can have the video play one more time, sound team.
Step into a more sustainable way of life and ensure a better tomorrow. Play your part in the circular economy. Usi waste, taka ni mali. Waste is wealth.
Talia says we can do the elbow one more time.
That's how we say hello.
Oh, yes.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, let's appreciate them one more time, ladies and gentlemen.
Asante sana. You may take your seats. I would like to invite on stage our technical team. Joel, Tiberius, Winnie, Joy, Ledama, and Linda. Please join us on stage. Joel, Tiberius, Winnie, Ledama, Linda, and Joy.
These are the men and women behind today's event.
Our technical team, our amazing technical team.
Exactly. Let's give them a round of applause as well. Young, energetic, and ambitious.
How on your youth?
Do you, Sasa?
Not that one you were saying before.
All right, you can do the elbow as well. We take a nice photo up of our technical team, the men and women behind the scenes who have made this day a success. And Talia, I know we are standing between lunch and our guests.
I can hear tummies.
I tell you.
Growling.
So ladies and
Wanasema tunaongea sana. Wanataka kukula.
All right. I think at this point in time, we'd like to just give a special shout out to Dr. Ezekiel Anyanga as well, a very instrumental man in putting this together. He can perhaps wave just for our audiences.
For those who don't know who he is.
Asante sana. And in case you have a big event coming up, you know the moderators to get. We have the lovely Talia Ayando. Let's
Thank
appreciate
you.
her.
Thank you very much. Asante sana. And of
been-
course, we have Abby. And he'll come through with his suit and tie looking so fresh and so clean.
Thank you. Once more time, we want to open it up for us to go to lunch. We'll have our exhibition stands out here where we'll allow you to also interact with some of the great solutions that Kenyans have. And remember to maintain your mask and social distance. I know you might not have seen someone for a while. You want to give them a hug. But remember,
You can give them an elbow.
you can give them an elbow. All right, that's where we wrap it up. Let's all be upstanding for the national anthem as we wrap up our event for the day. Our sound team, please hand over to us with the national anthem. All right, that's a bon appetit, ladies and gentlemen. I know we wanted the anthem to go on, but lunch is coming.
I can do the anthem. I can do the anthem.
Please, please.
E Mungu nguvu yetu. Help me. Ilete baraka kwetu. Haki wengao na mlinzi. Na tukae na undugu, amani na unduru. Raha tupate na ustawi. Thank you.
Asanteni sana. Until next time, keep safe. It has been a pleasure.
Keep your masks on, sanitize, and practice social distancing. There's lunch behind you, and on my left, you can check out various e-waste. Asante sana. We have e-waste and we have Jijenge and our exhibition.
Calling you for an interview soon. Asante. Okay.